Hi, everyone. It's me, Tim. Today, I want to talk about the void in Arcanum. And this is something that somebody asked about. Somebody asked if I could talk about the void because it was mysterious and they wanted to know the backstory and how we came up with it and if there were any plans to use it in future games. So, I know that the void came up um, as an idea in Arcanum because it kind of filled the void of answering questions for two different things. The first one was when we made the list of magic spells, there was one that let you speak with dead. We originally envisioned it as how Speak with Dead works in AD&D or D&D version 1, whatever you call that, where you could ask a set number of questions, and the higher level you were, the more questions you could ask. Turns out that was really hard to get our narrative designers to the tools they would need to be able to write a dialogue that had a predetermined number of questions you could ask that varied, or a variable number of questions. But we knew we wanted you to be able to speak with them, and we wanted them to answer your questions because they're dead. Why wouldn't they just lie to you or just not talk? So, and someone had the idea, I think it was Leonard, that they were in agony when you brought them back. They were in pain. And a lot of the dialogues, if you speak with dead with people in the game, they're usually, why did you bring me back? Oh, this is horrible. I died. And then you ask them the questions and they answer to basically limit the amount of time they're spent in that agony that you are enforcing on them with your Speak with Dead spell. So that was one thing we knew we wanted. We knew that when people died, some part of them survived. So that was the first key to the void. But we also, when we were writing the story of the game, so that was a system mechanic thing. When we were writing the story of the game, it came up that we needed banishment. Apparently, Aranax went around banishing anyone who came up with technology. When the dwarves were discovered having given technology to the humans, they were banished. Aranax himself got banished for what he did to the Vendigroth wastes. So this conjured up a different idea of the void, which is one that you could physically be pushed into. But we talked about it for a long time. We wanted it to be the same place. We wanted it to be some extra-worldly. It wasn't heaven. It was more like Hades, maybe, if you thought of how the old Greek myths were of Hades. It was a dark, physical place that while some people were physically pushed into, their entire body was there. When you died, that's where your spirit went. If you got to the end, you saw a wonderful speech given by Kurgan. Kurgan turns out to have been pretending to be Aranax throughout the game because he has Aranax trapped in the void. Remember, Aranax is there physically, so is Kurgan. Kurgan had been banished earlier. Kurgan has a plan, so he'd been pretending to be Aranax. And when you arrive, Kurgan talks about the void. So I'm going to play that here.
If only I could show you the places I've seen, you might understand the things I say. I've been to the desolate lands, wandered by those souls who still see the lands of the living, but wear the cloak of the dead. Blind to their own ends, they cry, passing through one another like shadows in the dying light of day. I've traveled to where souls rot in torment, pierced with the jagged shards of life and vision, clinging to memory, regrets of the flesh. I saw that this prison was of their own making, and the key was in unknowing, in release. And still, I traveled on. And finally, I came to the place where souls go to die, where the mirrored and worn spirits fall into an endless sea of gray, mirrored glass. and I lowered myself within and lay there among them, and I almost did not return. And do you know what I found there? There among the silent and battered shells of the innumerable? Peace, enlightenment, truth. Only then did I realize that this place, this life, is an abomination, a horrible distortion of the natural order. This life, who mothered pain and fear and envy, these twisted children who exist only because we are here to feed them, to nourish them. This life, this afterthought, a disturbance, a mere ripple in that great, dead sea, not even the cause, but merely an effect, sending these souls upward, screaming for release from the day they are torn from their waters. The effect of what? I do not know, nor do I care. Have you ever spoken with the dead, called to them from this side, pulled them from their silent rest? Do you know what it is that they feel? Pain. Pain when torn into this wakefulness, this reminder of the chaos from which they had escaped. Pain at having to live. There will be no more pain. There will be no more chaos.
Okay, now that was an awesome cinematic from Arcanum. One of my favorites. Chad Moore wrote that. Really good. What I love about it is, well, there's two things I love about it. One, as Kurgan points out, the void has layers. It has levels to it. It's not just a big featureless place. And he talks about how he goes through it, and he sees spirits that are still trying to hold on to life, and spirits that are walking around in agony and being tormented, until he finally gets to that final layer that's just an ocean that the spirits just float in, and they're finally at peace because they are done. It's over. Their life is over. They accept it. It's an area of non-thought, non-life. You're just there. Kurgan even talks about he almost got trapped there because it was so peaceful. It was so non-painful. It was just blank. But he remembered what life was like, and so he came back with his plan to end life. The other reason I love that cinematic is it shows you something that I love, that whole nuance thing. I've talked about it in so many videos. Kurgan does not see himself as a villain. He thought he was the good guy. He was like, we've got to do something about this life that everybody is thrust into without being asked. It's painful. It's horrible. It itself is torture. And then you die and you're finally released from it. Let's just speed up that process. Let's just not... The life thing was an interesting experiment. It's over. So, that's Kurgan's point of view. I just love it because it doesn't make him a mustache-twirling villain going, ha-ha, I'm going to kill everybody. He has a reason. There's a reason he wants to do this. So I like that. So the void now obviously fulfilled two purposes. It explained that you were pulling a spirit back from that place and back into life, which was agony. It also explained that there were people there physically. And on top of that, it explained Kurgan's motivations. So we like that. Now, when we started doing the sequel, Journey to the Center of Arcanum, we didn't have any explicit plans to use the void. Although, if we did introduce the heroic level 6 spells, I was considering Banishment as one of them. So you could, just cast against something, and if it didn't make it saving throw, boom, it's gone. It's kind of like Disintegrate, but instead of damage, they're just gone. The downside is you don't get any XP for it because you didn't kill them. But we really didn't have any plan to do that. Of course, Speak with Dead would still be around. I know at one point an idea was floated around of maybe there was some powerful hero that to do something in the story, you had to go into the void and convince him to come back to life. And of course, he didn't want to do that. He was happy being dead. All I can tell you is it was too good of an idea for us to ignore. And if we didn't use it in Journey, we would have almost certainly used it in a sequel to that sequel. But that's pretty much everything I know about the void. And I hope that explains and answers your question.